When setting up the award budget, start planning early.
Be aware of policies and procedures.
One of the biggest things is document, document, document.
Welcome to Understanding Financial Management of ATE Awards, a 6-part video series designed to assist new grantees in the fiscal setup and implementation of their NSF ATE Award. In this video, grantees are informed of resources that provide answers to budget questions. NSF's allowances regarding budget changes and carryover of funds are considered. What one piece of advice would you give to college personnel as they set up and manage their new award?
You want to make sure that you have a great staff to handle this thing. A PI cannot be that person. You need an administrator, you need a team, and that's the thing that sometimes grantees don't understand is that you can't do this grant by yourself. And you have to communicate. You have to communicate with your sponsor research office. You have to communicate with your program officer, because if something goes wrong, they can help. But if you do not communicate, I promise you, you will regret it.
We really did have a lot of interaction and communication. Our project team met regularly, and also we had the meetings with our grant office and the business office. We did not have where a year later someone was going, well, what about this? Because we were talking and communicating all the time.
Your guys on the program side should have a very good communication tool between the program staff and the business office, in this case, the grant fiscal agent. So long as the two sides are having a very clear, concise, and respectful conversation, it speeds up the process and it ensures compliance and integrity in what you end up doing or achieving spending those federal dollars.
New grantees are organizations that have never received funding from NSF before. New PIs are PIs who've never received funding. The award is made to the institution, not to the principal investigator.
What's the role of the awardee's administration in terms of financial oversight, record keeping, and monitoring of ATE grants?
The institution is responsible for the oversight and the financial management of the award. We encourage them to have policies and procedures in place that will assist them with answering questions.
What's the main role of the principal investigator in terms of record keeping and financial oversight?
He or she is responsible for project reports, annual project reports, final project reports, and project outcome reports. If they have questions, they generally reach out to the NSF Grants Office for further assistance if needed.
Grantees are required to do basically any reporting that is noted in their award letter, but also in their solicitation. They are required to do their annual report, which is due 90 days prior to the budget end date. And then in the project outcomes and the final annual report is due 120 days after the expiration of the award.
So as a PI, you take on a lot of responsibilities that, again, might not have been things that you've worked on, including budget and compliance. The great news, as scary as that sounds, is that there's a lot of people in your institution and throughout the ATE network who can help you out with that. So again, it comes back to utilizing those resources that are out there.
As principal investigator, you're a little bit like the air traffic controller. You have all of these different pieces flying around, and you're the one who has to make sure that it goes logically and goes in a smooth order. One of the things I learned is that it is really important to get to know your program officer. I think I was a little bit in awe of, oh my gosh, this is a NSF program officer. And I found everyone in the ATE community wants you to succeed. And so it's a collaborative that everyone wins environment.
Can you talk about your role as the grants fiscal manager in regards to managing the ATE grant?
My role is making sure that the grant activities are executed within a time frame as expected by our grantor, in this case NSF. We also deal with state and system-wide financial policies and procedures.
As grants compliance officer, I ensure that the college is in compliance with not only federal guidelines, but also state and local, county, and also the college's policies and procedures.
What should new ATE grantees be most aware of when setting up policies and procedures for a new award?
We encourage them to take a look at the federal policies and procedures, which is called the Uniform Guidance, or the agency-specific policies and procedures.
Why don't you explain to me what uniform guidance is?
Sure. The Uniform Guidance, or 2 CFR 200, or the UGG, which we call it sometimes, is the standard federal-wide policy and procedure. It includes the financial or the cost principles, audit, and administrative terms and conditions that all recipients of federal awards must follow. We encourage the grantees to actually have a link on their own websites, but they can find it on the NSF website, or better yet, they can go to the omb.gov site and access the full copy of the Uniform Guidance.
It is critical that you have policies and procedures in place that will address federal regulations and requirements, state policies and procedures, and if you belong to a system like us where we have over 32 colleges and universities operating within the same system, we have a uniform process. And so you are required to address not just one of those, but all of them.
It's a requirement to have written policy and procedures if you receive federal funds.
What do you think are some of the must-have critical policies to have in writing?
Actually, procurement, time and effort, conflict of interest, and that's actually financial conflict of interest and also conflict of interest in your procurement. You want to have written policy and procedures as far as personal identification information, which means you may have access to people's social security numbers and things of that nature, and so you have to ensure that information is not given out. Also, for your financial processes, the awarding institution nowadays, they look for risk beforehand, and so they're going to want to see what policy and procedures that you have in place.